Wild! Just right now we start the show. Are you ready? I thought so.
Joining me here on the Revelator Show hotline is Chad from Wilson. Dude, welcome back to the podcast, man. It's been a long time. It's nice to finally have you back, man.
Fuck. Thanks for having me, man. You said I could swear, so I thought we'd start off with a bang.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. That's usually most people's response when they have an interview with me is, oh, fuck. So you captured it immediately, so thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'm excited to continue to deliver post, the status quo.
Yeah. Well, dude, like I said, it's been a long time since you've been on, man. And so again, thank you for doing the time. I know you're in transit right now. Are you? Where you guys heading right now? Actually,
I am currently heading alone from one end of Detroit to the other end of Detroit to get a delicious cup of coffee. Actually, it's a frozen drink that I enjoy. That's all. That's all that's going on with me today. We're home in Detroit right now. We just got off the tour.
Yeah, no, I saw you guys in Nashville. Gosh, I want to say, almost 2 weeks ago now. You guys were obviously just finished up the Steel Panther run, which you guys played with Nashville's own True Villains on that bill as well, which was cool, man. So,
yeah.
I imagine you have some great stories from the Steel Panther run. Is there any that stick out to you right now as you're heading to get your Java fix?
Yeah, I got hit in the face with a can of beer in Nashville while we were playing.
Did you really? Oh, no shit, man.
It was hilarious because, we had just, it was a razzled day because we drove all the way down, got there. The Panther dudes, they had their flight get canceled in Oklahoma after, I think, Rocklahoma. So they were driving from Oklahoma in, and they got, we had to switch up the production, the load in, all of that stuff, so they could make way for them when they got in for a quick, turnaround sound check to get doors open. So it was a pretty crazy day. And when we got up there to play, to start the set, right off the bat, our bassist wireless unit went down, and we're like, oh my God. One of the pieces of production that we had totally burnt up and stopped working. And then about halfway through the set, I got hit with, both James, the bassist, and I both got hit by the same can of beer as it was hurled at us from somebody in the audience. And then after the show, we were like, God, man, that was a rough one, man. It's been a long time since we've had a rough show, And I looked on our social media, and the dude who did it sent us a message, telling us to go kill ourselves and stuff like that. We suck. You're rapping with turntables and all of that sort of thing. We found it pretty hilarious. So I screenshotted all of that and then sent it throughout my social channels to thank him for the beer. And he ended up writing us back in the morning and apologizing. Like, I was so wasted and I was just having a bad day. And I'm so sorry. That was so, that was so awful of me to do. And I'm really embarrassed. I'm like, that's cool, man. Thanks for the beer. Either way, it was a delicious Yingling, so I'll take it.
Shit.
That was,
welcome to Music City.
Happened on that. Yeah,
wow, man, that sucks, man. Well, at least he apologized, I guess, after the fact. So at least he had enough stones to do that. But
yeah,
wow, man. Yeah, well,
it was an interesting show.
Yeah, no, I was photographing that night for Marathon Music Works, and you guys, it was a weird thing, walking through the crowd, and I caught some video of you guys doing Billy Squires' "The Stroke," which is a great cover. We can talk about that in a moment, but it was weird because a lot of the people weren't quite sure what to make of you guys, because maybe a lot of people in that particular crowd weren't quite sure or didn't really know about you guys, weren't quite sure what to make of you. And like, it was like this weird ebb and flow where like some of the crowd was like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. The other crowd wasn't. It was just like, wait, what's happening here? What's going on? And then I think when you did the Billy Squier thing, a lot of the crowd kind of came around and was like really into it. So it was just weird to see the weird flow of I don't know what the fuck's happening, and I kind of like this at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like everything that you just said. Music is a subjective art form, and it's always interesting when you're opening up for an act, and particularly when you're supporting an act like Steel Panther. And we've done it many a times. I mean, I think it was the fourth time that we've done a tour or a short run of some sort with those guys, became really good friends. And the hilarious part about what you just said to me is the fact that you're at a Steel Panther show. Mind you, these are very talented musicians, and
yeah, man.
And they have a lot of skin in the game over the years. So this by no means is a knock. But you're at a Steel Panther show, a show that is 100% the specific reason why you're there is for a glorious like entertainment. It's a stage show. There's a whole bunch of shit going on. Like for you to think that there's 4 dudes up there singing about fucking 17 girls in a row and not take some sort of humor away from it all, but to take it
right.
seriously enough to be like, oh, dude, I take my freaking metal seriously at a Steel Panther show is just the ultimate weirdest shit could ever imagine in my life. Right. And
I'm throwing my PBR can at you. Fuck off.
Yeah. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, what's going on? First of all, there's not turntables up there, you idiot.
Right.
But
right.
The idea of it all was just, it's like we felt it. To be honest with you, dude, that was the first time in all of the touring, and the whole tour that we just did with them, and all of the touring that we've ever done with Steel Panther, where there was like this weird separation that was going on in the room, and it was strange because it's Music City, it's Nashville, so there's obviously a certain expectation for performers there, right?
Right.
There's these incredible musicians inside of this room all over the city that have either, came there to make it or had been somewhere before and it didn't work out, but they're just really love playing, and they're going to be session players or they're going to be touring players for another person's band. But they're, either way you cut it, there's a sense of competition, in a city like that every single day. And I only chalk it up to that because here's these guys in bright colors with some shit that isn't tried and true, metal or guitar specifically driven music, and they're up there opening for this band with thousands of people here. Well, how dare they?
Right. Yeah.
And when you really cut it all back down to it, it really comes down to that situation when you're in a room where a good majority of it is compiled of either folks that are competitively trying to make it or haven't made it with their own project or whatever it is, but they're amazing players, and they're also competing for that gig, to be in that guy's band or the band leader for this or do that or be the session player here. It's an interesting city. I will say that much.
Well, I'm right there with you. It being in the music scene as long as I have at this point in Nashville, to invoke any type of emotional reaction is a testament to you guys as a live performing band. I'll say that right now, because I don't know how many times I've been at a show in Nashville where people were like, yeah, I've seen it, heard it, yeah, okay, golf clap, so to invoke any type of emotion, good, bad, or otherwise, on Music Studio is a testament to how great you guys have become as a live band. Now, I know you guys have probably taken a lot of shit, because of I don't know. Personally, for me, I thought it was the next evolution for Tasty Nasty as far as music's concerned. For you guys were from the first 2 albums. Did you guys get a lot of shit for for Baller and stuff for kind of taking the music in a evolving it into a different direction, maybe what people thought you should do?
Yes and no. Yes, because the obvious answer is yeah, of course. If you knew of Wilson from the Full Blast Fuckery era and then you hadn't paid attention from that first release to now, and you're like, wait, what the fuck is going on? Where's his beard? Why does he have green hair? They're talking about being a baller. They're doing hip hop stuff. Like I would understand where that comes from. Of course, if this isn't a fucking band that I like, that I loved, or whatever it may or may not, wherever you may or may not sit on that side of the fence. If you paid attention from that period of time, which, for us, we're lucky enough to have fans who completely understand our DNA, because it's the reach that we've been able to achieve in their lives. It's not strange for them. It's part of us as humans. If you're around me for a day, you were driving around in my car with me for a day, and you listen to the music I was listening to, you'd probably be like, that's not the same dude as the guy that I see up there before Casey Nasty, is what I'm saying, that I see up there in that beard, the motorcycle riding guy. This isn't him, no way. But that's the beauty of music, is it's a subjective art form, and it's able to speak to you in many of different costumes and disguises or whatever it is. To shock somebody and to upset somebody is also a part of that art form. Like, we're not supposed to be complacent and just, like, how boring would it be to listen to that band put out the same record over and over and over again? You move on, you go find a new favorite, there's no story to tell anymore besides their, like, I love AC/DC, but from front to back, if you wouldn't pay me $1 million to sit down and listen to every record of AC/DC, from, Highway to Hell to whatever that last album is that they put out, I just wouldn't do it. It'd be boring. It'd be absolutely terribly boring. And we didn't set up this band to be boring in any way, shape, or form. It'd be, it's our release. So we put all that in a melting pot, you're going to get tasty nasty, and that's what happened. We did. Well, I enjoyed it, just like we did what we wanted to do on the last record and the first record, or whatever.
I think you're spot on there. And, I think sometimes people get wrapped into a certain sound or in band, and I think I'm guilty of it, and I think everyone is to a certain extent, where they're like, I want them to put out, the same, to keep duplicating that, where, as an artist, you just, it's no fun at that point. You lose, it becomes mechanic, and, it's not as genuine, I think, in the long run. But, obviously, the album's been out for a little over a year now. You guys obviously have a little break right now, and then you guys are heading back out on the road again with, Like a Storm, Through Fire, and Stitched Up Heart, bands we've all had on the podcast as well, bands I'm huge fans of. So, with that, when that tour comes and goes, what are your guys' plans? You guys going to do another album? Maybe take a little break? What are the plans after this tour coming up?
More touring. We're gonna keep playing through the course of this record until we decide that we no longer want to play. Through the course of this record, and then we'll decide when we want to make a new record, and we'll do that. But right now, the focus is, we're always writing, that's never changing. Right. But the focus is to continue the trajectory of what Tasty Nasty is, in the opportunities that we've been able to open with it. After this tour, we don't have anything necessarily situated for a new record right now. So, yeah. I haven't really thought past Tasty Nasty, to be honest with you.
Okay, fair enough. I figured I was just kind of like to inquire there, but obviously with this tour coming up, I don't know if I imagine you've probably seen or toured with some of these bands already, like Through Fire, Stitched Up Heart, Like a Storm. If you haven't, is there one of those bands that you're really looking forward to seeing every night? I know Like a Storm, those guys are fantastic, but
we played with all of them, but through Fire, in some way, shape, or form, whether that's been on a cruise ship, a festival, or multiple dates. I'm excited to see all of the bands every night. I'm excited to be inspired and enthralled by what they do, and the people in the room, and the energy that the bill creates is a pretty exciting thing in general. When you're putting four bands like that on a bill, you can only hope that the fans that show up are ready for a very, 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 very fun, interesting, rockin' fucking night. So to see how that all unfolds every night is pretty pretty interesting.
I think it's a great billing. I'm glad to see you guys are part of it, and I think each one of the bands we mentioned, everyone really has their own style and is very different and unique, so which is really cool. Sometimes you see these billings of 3-4 bands together and everybody kind of has the same sound, which obviously there's nothing wrong with that, but I enjoy going to a show where each band kind of has their own identity and their own unique sound and message. So I'm looking forward to for people to go catch that tour. Well, Chad, I'll let you run here, man. Is there anything you want to say in closing before I let you go, man?
Fuck.
Start with a fuck, end with a fuck. The guys from Steel Panther would approve, I believe.
Probably would.
That's probably true. Sign me up for the weenie ride and find me an Asian hooker. I mean, damn it. All right, Chad. Well, hey, man, dude, thank you for coming back on the show, man. I've been a fan of you guys for a while. Obviously, I think you were on, that's a couple years ago, I think, right when you guys first started doing Shiprock and stuff. So it's nice to finally come full circle. Let's not have it be another 2 years before you come back on and talk a little bit on the podcast, man. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you reaching out and getting this all situated. I can't wait to see you.
It is Wilson here on Revelator. Chad, take care, man. Enjoy your time off.